So Josh Moon, Null, owner of KiwiFarms, wrote this Substack article talking about the problems his site's had. I haven't read it yet. But Cardposting, this guy got accused of... Would he get accused of Violet Gunter or something, falsely? And he's just kind of like an endearing, autistic, communist guy. Made a response to it, so I want to see what he has to say, because I think he disagrees with it. I watched like a minute of it, and I immediately started having a severe emotional response. I thought it would be good for stream. All right. So, online censorship's institutional power. The converging interests of technocrats, media, and academia, as seen through the lens of the world's most deplatformed US legal website. A person's most vulnerable asset is their reputation. There's no better place to build one's cachet than online. For this reason, there is a convergence of extreme wealth, power, and influence building up around the backbone of the internet like a cancer. Without immediate organization and reaction from the atomized groups considering themselves anti-censorship, we will soon live in a less free world with a less open internet, where rich, influential people can dictate their own trustworthiness and slander their opposition with impunity. I don't disagree. I don't agree with the sort of dystopian, total bleak dystopian view there, but I agree with the rest of it. That feels like an exaggeration. Feels like a bit of doomsaying. A little bit gay, but I agree with the sentiment for sure. They are freedoms that I don't want to lose. There are ways the internet is changing that I don't like. Noel just goes hard because he's in Serbia. I believe in dystopia too. Jesus, man. In 11 years I've managed my forum. The KiwiFarms I've seen firsthand the power in allowing people to talk about people. Anyone who is permitted to freely share what they'd like about another is enabled to punch far above their own weight. So real. Okay, he's spitting here, yeah. When a forum organized like the KiwiFarms hosts stories, media, and documents that never go away, it can become a permanent blight on a diligently maintained reputation belonging to surprisingly important people. When that demerit is made on someone rich and well-connected, they may dedicate years of life to trying to erase it. I mean, yep, spitting so far, 100%. I think it's hyperbole. It's obviously impossible with how the world works as it is, but it's what they want. Yeah, for sure. Yes, I would agree with that. The sentiment, I agree with 100%. All right. Liz Fong Jones is a transgender multimillionaire formerly employed by Google, but now involved at least 2 San Francisco tech startups, Honeycomb and Tall Poppy. Her resume and portfolio has been leveraged to try to deplatform the KiwiFarms since 2017. What started with a single email has expanded over 7 years to a conspiracy targeting the most sensitive and important components of what makes up the internet. Guys, no misgendering. Guys, no misgendering. I'm not like super committed. It's not about cowardly. I'm just genuinely, I'm not committed to the sex-based pronouns. I'm just not. I think non-binary pronouns are retarded. I'm not committed to sex-based pronouns necessarily. It's fine. I'm not censoring myself. That's not self-censorship at all. You're one-guying me, though. You're trying to troll me. The story of Liz Fong Jones trying to take down the KiwiFarms is indicative of what will soon be done to all controversial web content. There is not coordinated effort to make sure the internet and companies which compose it more neutral and held accountable. Okay. Don't agree with this, but the excesses, yeah, for sure. Again, hyperbole, but agree with the sentiment. Liz Fong Jones and Trans Lifeline. On August 18th, Liz Fong Jones used her company's email address to send a complaint. The targeted provider hosted my website's email service. At the time, we used Cloudflare's security services, and a common way to bypass Cloudflare was to look at the mail server. Cloudflare does not protect email, and often the unprotected mail server for websites will be the same server or provider as the actual protected web server. Liz Fong Jones complained we hosted personal information, hoping that this would cause our website to go down. Okay. The information in question was about Trans Lifeline, a hotline for transgender people in crisis staffed by transgender volunteers. At the time, Trans Lifeline was operated by Greta Gustava and Nina Kabul. These organizers would post extravagant lifestyle photos on their public Instagrams. Meanwhile, the Trans Lifeline hotline services rarely had anyone online to accept emergency calls. This led KiwiFarms users to suspect they were stealing from their charity, so we began documenting both their lifestyle and their hotline's performance, or lack thereof. Based. KFW. For clarity, it's not Newspeak. For clarity, Null is using sex-based pronouns. A decision that I respect, but will not imitate. No Newspeak. No Newspeak. Because I value my life. Okay. Chud read it word for word. Chud goes crazier than me. Okay. Chud says a lot of things I wouldn't say. All right. It's like, I wouldn't read the N-word on stream either. Dude, there's a reason why I went on Kick to rap Euphoria. I just don't do it on YouTube. I'm not going to do it on this platform because it's just a needless risk. I'll make my position clear. I fully support Null in his decision to gender people how he chooses to. I think saying the N-word is really cool and funny too. Especially when white people do it. In fact, it's maybe even better when white people do it than when black people do it. But my YouTube account is very valuable to me. Okay. Documents leaked to us by people who had worked on them showed us that there was almost no organization, no internal support structure, and no training. Transgender people recruited by TLL to be call agents would then be put on lines to deal with immediately at-risk suicidal transgender people with scant information on how to actually help. Some callers reported being hung up on. Operators reported trauma from having to answer life or death phone calls without any idea of what to do or say. Yeah, just recruit a bunch of mentally ill trans people to take calls from people who are suicidal with no training. Yeah, that sounds like an epic idea, man. That's freaking awesome. Where were we? I literally looked away for 2 seconds. I lost my place. Years later, and thanks to information made available only on the KiwiFarms, they would be ousted from the organization for fraud. Okay, Trans Lifeline's operators would later file under penalty of perjury that Greta and Nina had injured hundreds of thousands of dollars. Liz Fong Jones tried to cover this up while it was happening by silencing the only people who were, at this point in time, both aware and capable of discussing transgender issues in a less than flattering way without being banned. I mean, We just went over that, didn't we? So, I agree. This would begin the long trend of transgender activists saying, ignore the bad things on Kiwi farms, they're made up. Really? When was this? Because Brianna Wu's been saying that shit for years. Not that I'm saying Brianna Wu's trans, obviously. Of course not. I would never out a trans woman like that. Okay. With the punchline being that we'd end up proving right over time that the damage done could have been mitigated if we were trusted sooner. A lot of that going around lately, actually, isn't there? There's a lot of that going around. No, there's actually messages of Wu saying she's trans. It's been confirmed many, many times. It would take Liz Fong Jones 6 years to admit that Trans Lifeline was a scam at the time, and she was supporting them. She explains she now only donates money to causes where she can directly influence the way it operates. Spotgun, just can we stop? I didn't mean to pull it up. Can we stop, guys? Take it easy. Calm it down. Let's all just be not too transphobic. I would appreciate some chilling. Just say they. Just say they. When I don't like them, when I don't like one of them, I just say they. They is now transphobic. They is considered transphobic because of people like me. I don't even believe in non-binary stuff. I'll only use non-binary pronouns usually when it's a trans woman I don't like. Okay. Punchline would be right every time. It would take Fong Jones 6 years to admit Trans Lifeline was a scam at the time. They was. Yeah, we'll switch to they. I can do they. Liz Fong Jones should be thanking us, but they still hold a vicious grudge because we reported the abuse of their Google work email. It's necessary to be non-anonymous to the organizations that intermediate your giving in order to get us a seat at the governance table and ensure that funds are being appropriately spent. That was a very painful lesson I learned from the fiasco that was the early days of Trans Lifeline, where the inexperienced initial board did not meaningfully keep the founders in check, such as insist on audits. And the major donors, including myself, didn't think to ask for board seats to provide oversight, leading to us all getting defrauded. You will never hear the story of how KiwiFarms identified fraud in a charity because it is not written about. There is not a single article from a supposedly trustworthy media source about this scandal. No journalist in the world can catalogue what the KiwiFarms gets right because the truth is a secondary concern to them, sitting under what is politically expedient. I agree, but it just comes off as gay when you're bitching like, oh, journalists don't even write about the good stuff we do. It just comes off as a little bit. But I agree with the sentiment here. Again, agree with the sentiment. Just yeah, that's a bit. You never say the good things we do. Like, okay, dude. We get it. There's some good stuff that happened on KiwiFarms. Let's be real, though. This did not come about out of some altruism. This was not about some altruistic act. This is a bunch of schizos on the internet putting information together for the thrill of it. Because they don't like the people involved. And it's fine. It's totally reasonable to say, oh, look, a good thing came of it this time. We did actually catch someone doing something bad this time. Epic. Say that when it's true, and it is true here. But being like, well, you don't write about the good things we do. It's like, okay, bro, what are you trying to get like a good reputation here? Do you think people are going to like you for this? I just don't know what the... Anyway, Liz Fong Jones from Google to Honeycomb. Fong Jones continued to work at Google for another 2 years. Anonymous reports regarding internal politics within the company, where Fong Jones worked paint a picture of a continuous menace, always looking for new victims to cause problems for. Fong Jones even finds himself in the famous James Damore discrimination lawsuit against Google for discriminatory posts made on internal Google forums. This is a pretty good article about the walking on eggshells effect is actually experienced by people of color, of being afraid to point out racial stressors for fear of being lumped as oversensitive and of needing to phrase things to be palatable and not trigger defensiveness. Okay. I feel like I remember seeing this when it got spread around years ago. She claims to have resigned in 2019 after the Google walkout protests she helped organize. Insiders reported that Google does not give severances unless you are asked to quit. This indicates that Fong Jones was likely paid to leave as opposed to her claims she resigned. Trying to fire a person in such a politically protected category, especially when they're litigious and disruptive as Fong Jones, would cost more than $90,000. He was given to just go away. Okay. What was the Google walkouts? What was that about? 2019 Google walkouts. One year after the Google walkout, key organizers reflect on the risk to their careers. Tens of thousands of Google employees spilled out of their offices around the world, protesting sexual harassment, misconduct, and a lack of transparency. I don't see anything about Fong Jones in here, though. Oh, what's this? Is this the wrong Google walkouts? No, this is 2019 Google walkouts. Okay. Oh, wait, or is that name badge? Google name badge walkouts. Then yeah, okay. Google workers lost a leader, but the fight will continue. Liz Fong Jones explains why she left and the future of tech worker activism in a new op-ed. Awesome. Never mind. Is there a website for them? It was about the name badges. That sounds like what it would probably be. I'd imagine. An offender in sexual harassment. What is there any confirmation of this? Come on. What is this? A report from tech forum Y Combinator. That name is important. Okay, well, let's read it then. Okay. This boycott and these comments are being orchestrated by Liz Fong Jones. Liz Fong Jones is a transsexual activist and an offender in sexual harassment themselves. I'm posting this off throwaway for obvious reasons. I worked at Google from 2010 to 2014. Over the summer of 2012 or 2013, I joined an EVE Online Corporation guild with Liz and another one of my co-workers. It was a crazy place. Liz had a fanatical hatred of rape jokes. Rape was not a joke to Liz. Rape was a fantasy that Liz was all too happy to describe in great detail. The corporation was kink-friendly. I'm embarrassed to say that was part of the appeal to me. I'm happy to tie my girlfriends up as part of roleplay. Liz's fantasies were a great deal more detailed and a great deal less fantasy-oriented than I would like. I left that corporation after a while, then noticed quickly as I should have. I was young, I was confused, and based on the success of her real names considered harmful letter, I believed Liz was a credible, accredited leader. The same coworker who introduced me to Liz would several times invite me to join them for lunch at Club Z. I declined. Partially because something seemed off. Mostly because I was satisfied with lunches at Google. I don't like to find out at Club Z is not a lunch place, it's a rather infamous gay bathhouse here in Seattle. Okay. Okay. Be back in the video. Wonder if Kuihman gets roleplay means D&D. I mean, does it? It sounds like a fucking... It's literally like... That comes off like a flirt. That comes off like a flirt. I think Dan took it the same way based on how he reacted. It was very awkward, but whatever. We're covering this now. Because it can mean D&D, but it can also be kind of like an innuendo, can't it? It seems like it's just a very weird comment to make. I think it felt quite flat. Anyway. Well, I was in that corp. I was sexually assaulted by a former friend. About a year, I knew and had considered that a friend had come out as bi, okay, and had confessed their love to me by forcefully kissing me at a party. I was embarrassed, I was not interested, and I made it pretty politely clear, to which they reacted badly. Now they'd come out as trans, and received an outpouring of support from my mutual friends. Did friends convince me to give them another chance? After their urging, I agreed to hang out with them at a movie night which no one else showed to. Said former friend pressured me to try weed, which I had never done before. Okay, red flag, I was dumb and I regret it. Said friend offered to show me his uncle's stash of CP. I already suspected they were a pedo, but yeah, I should have run right then. Was drunk, said friend, then tried to force himself on me. I am not bigger, but I am strong. I forced him off. I was also drunk. I spent several uncomfortable hours waiting to sober up, reportedly fending off unwanted advances. Anyway, being dumb and having listened to too much of the bullshit excuses, I went to the only trans person I knew to talk about it. Liz. They told me how much I was in the wrong, how important it was for trans people to explore their sexuality, and called me a monster for not having responded positively. What if a biological woman had hit on you? Told let's try it out. Oh man, I don't have any direct evidence of wrongdoing by this Fong Jones. I only know they hang out with and are supported by people who are long overdue for censure. People who are reportedly able to convince others that they were the victims despite their clear aggression. During her employment with Google, she had acquired cryptocurrency and stake in the company. It's assumed that Fong Jones' net worth is in the millions. Indeed, Fong Jones has stated that she has an interest in finance and wants to make wealth building a part of her career. After leaving Google, she joined tech startup Honeycomb as Chief Field Technology Officer. Honeycomb is a business-to-business software company that sells solutions directly to major tech companies such as Dropbox and Slack. Video game companies including CCP, EVE Online, and Behavior, Dead by Daylight, and finance companies like Vanguard, which are one of the largest investment firms in the world. Honeycomb is extremely progressive and has stood by Fong Jones for years, even after she inexplicably announced to the world in November 2019 that she had been credibly accused of sexual assault, which she chooses to refer to as a consent accident. Consent accidents do occasionally happen. It's part of the risk-aware consensual kink. And I think when they do, we need to be able to understand what happened rather than lashing out or blanket just denying anything happened, both of which suck. So is Fong Jones a rapist? Like, is it full-blown rape? What happened? What's the story on this one? Where's Rowan's rape? Where's the rape? How do I find the rape allegation? He says you can't find it online. Is it really that hard? Let's have a look. God. So annoying having to change the .net to a .st when I find a search result. Where's the rape? Show me the rape. So what are these messages? Let's see this. Alright guys, we'll play our rape review intro, okay? That's what everyone else does, isn't it? was something about the victim saying she was allergic to dogs and didn't know Liz owned a dog until after they had sex. She genuinely believes that I have sexually assaulted her, and I consider her a friend. I'm genuinely sorry for what she's going through, but feel like a blameless perspective would try to examine how the miscommunication happened. This was neither foreseeable nor deliberate. Thank you for the $5. Thank you.
Neo Preston super chatted $5. W rape.
Where's the... I don't understand it. Where's the description of what happened? I don't see what the actual allegation was. Yeah, I just don't see the... If the allegation... This seems retarded. I've known for 8+ years that she has an intense phobia of encountering live dogs in person. What I did not know, and what she did not communicate, is that her phobia also extends to encountering dog hair on clothing. If that's really what the allegation is, that's retarded. Downplaying is a misunderstanding about dog hair. How is it? Yeah, but how is it downplaying it? What is the actual story? I don't think you can say it's downplaying if you don't know what the actual story was. It could be this is just some retard other trans person who is afraid of dogs. I just don't think there's no... I get... It just comes off like you're lashing out if you say it's a credible sexual assault allegation when if that's the allegation. I don't. Consent access to occasionally happens, part of the risk-aware set consensual kink. Why is she mentioning rag? Well, because, I mean, I don't think that's saying anything specific. I don't think that's saying anything specific at all. You'll find gushing articles, portfolio websites, Wikipedia entries, more talking about what a successful, important person Fong Jones is. How can someone accused of rape simply walk away from this without any of the progressive organizations around them caring? Liz Fong Jones and Tall Poppy's cover-up. SEO is one of Fong Jones' personal interests. She enjoys a perfectly pedicured digital footprint. She is an investor and board member of Tall Poppy, a reputation management company. This company is also business to business and advertises itself as a proactive action against online harassment and personal security threats. Wow, that doesn't sound fucking terrifying at all. Okay, let's keep going. Let's try and get through this. This is taking us way too long. I'm just losing where I am constantly. Let's keep looking at other stuff. Okay. The name comes from an expression in Australia and New Zealand that means that successful people get unfairly criticised. The Tall Poppy gets cut down. They have a decent list of investors and advisors, with 2 names jumping out. Y Combinator has been invested in them. Y Combinator is the forum which had hosted the negative posts about Liz Fong Jones quoted in this article. This post now exists with Liz Fong Jones' name completely redacted, a change which was documented between May and September 2023, about 4 years after it was originally created. Inner Loop Capital is also interesting, as Tall Poppy is outside the usual scope of their portfolio. Error that thing where you press Celtic, piss me off, don't care. Don't care. They list on their website that they invest in digital infrastructure, which are generally low-level companies silently contributing to how the internet runs. These infrastructure companies will be relevant later. Okay. Wait. So what? So that's the forum that was posted on. They're an advisor. Okay. That's odd. Tall Poppy boasts its customer list, which includes large companies like Spotify, viciously litigious associations like the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America, NGOs like the Global Discrimination Index, and Amazon's extremely influential streaming platform Twitch. They have received glowing endorsements from Ellen Powell, former CEO of Reddit, Anita Sarkeesian of Gamergate fame. These people are all just in fucking bed together, aren't they? Every time. You will never read an article about some snaky grifter fuck without seeing the word Gamergate at some point. Every single time. Who's been involved with Twitter and Morgan Stanley, one of the most powerful wealth management organizations in the United States. Ellen Powell was an interim CEO for Reddit in 2015. She was the head of the company when it decided to ban r/fat people hate. Reddit traditionally had a policy of tolerating free speech even when upsetting. It may be hard to believe considering the state of Reddit today, but this was a very unpopular decision. Ellen Powell was even forced to couch these reforms in language like, "We're banning behavior, not ideas." There were many changes she made, all unpopular. Her stay at Reddit was very brief. She was removed and Reddit apologized, saying they would make things right. This never happened. It was clear Powell was hired to make sweeping changes, setting the stage for the new Reddit moving forward, then step aside during the outrage so that she would take the fall. Not a single policy Ellen Powell implemented was ever reversed by Reddit's corporate. They have since been compounded and expanded upon. Yep, sounds about right. Ellen Powell married an openly gay man, but has been going through a divorce since 2019. Details on this divorce are hard to come by. Is Ellen Powell trans? What's going on there? It raises questions as to what exactly Ellen Powell has been paying for. Go easy. Brianna Wu still has PTSD from fighting in the trenches. Can I show this clip? I took it from a YouTube video, so it should be fine, right? Oh, it's got the T slur in it. It's so risky. It's so risky. Catherine Ma is a former Wikimedia CEO and current CEO of NPR. She is an avid ideologue whose reputation is so incredibly poisonous that her position on the Signal Foundation has raised serious concerns. The beloved privacy app Signal is fundamentally compromised. This direct connection helps explain how Liz Fong Jones is able to generate significant positive press for herself and is permitted to craft narratives on Wikipedia. Articles she is directly affected by and has incredible conflicts of interest with, including for her company Honeycomb and for the KiwiFarms. The contributions are made by suggestion only via the pages talk. But since she is direct friends with Wikipedia admins who manage these pages, they are always included in it as favorable as a light to her as possible. Wikipedia is supposed to be a free and open platform for cataloging the knowledge of mankind. Catherine states here that this is no longer useful, and that free and open perpetuates a white, male, westernized construct and is exclusionary to communities without written tradition. These ideas of radical openness did not live up to the intention. Oh my God,
I started by talking about the idea of free and open as some of our founding principles, sort of free and open source coming from the idea of the open source community. Well, I have come to the opinion and the perspective that free and open was a way of looking at the world that was inherently limited relative to what we were trying to achieve. Free and open has the best of intentionality, but in the end, what free and open often ended up doing, and particularly in the case of Wikipedia, was really recapitulating many of the same power structures and dynamics that exist offline prior to the advent of the internet. And so what we ended up seeing was Wikipedia really rebuilt this idea of knowledge as a whole around what the Western canon. You see the exclusion of communities, of languages, because of the ways in which Wikipedia is based on reliable sources. The idea of a written tradition is something that is particular to the idea of a written tradition, which is particular to some cultures and not to others. The ways in which we ascribe notability often really comes from sort of this white male westernized construct around who matters in societies and who is elevated and whose voices. And so some of these ideas of sort of this radical openness really did not end up with the intention, really did not end up living into the intentionality of what openness can be.
What, because people said racist stuff sometimes on the internet? Okay, retard. Please fuck off. Get rid of these. Fucking losers, dude. Wikipedia is by no measure, a free and open platform. You are only permitted to edit Wikipedia using specific IP addresses, meaning anyone concerned about their privacy may not edit Wikipedia. Since Wikipedia admins and Wikimedia C-level executives may be friends with people trying to ruin your life, this necessitates de-anonymizing yourself to hostile actors to even create an account. You know, Wikipedia said for years that Brianna Wu had a degree, but she didn't. Curious. Then you will discover that almost every important Wikipedia page is on the special protections. Oh, that's another thing as well about fucking Wu's Wikipedia page. It's been indefinitely locked. Where is it? Maybe it's not locked anymore. I'm not sure. It was until recently. I can't edit this page, though I'm not entirely sure why from the talk page notice, so I figured I'd bring this up here. Oh, why is Cranium? Why is this page fully protected? It's currently the only article, not a redirect, that is indefinitely fully protected. Because the page has been a troll magnet for quite a while, particularly dumb edit war over grammar of all things, and whether anyone should be an expert on the subject herself to even be qualified to edit simple grammar mistakes or something was the last straw. Or it's archived. Protection was downgraded to a few months until a troll tried to dox her. She received dozens, she had said she had received dozens. Deals with law enforcement, said she dealt with law enforcement. Only attends events in the US with a security detail, said she could only attend US events with security detail escorting her. Firstly, the tense incorrect. Secondly, looking at the source to check, these are all in Wu's voice. It's an interview and should be attributed to her. Thirdly, the phrase with a security detail has possible implications that it's her security details. The interview gives more of an impression that they are event security. Strong oppose. The Boston Globe asserts this as fact over the byline of their tech beat writer. These threats were received and reported to law enforcement has likewise been widely reported in impeccable sources. Yes. That's true. Kind of. No sources at all suggest the threats were not received. That's, yeah, true. They were not reported. So the threats thing, yeah, I agree with that. She did receive dozens of threats. Yes. Yes. Sure. That's fine. And I mean, dealt with law enforcement. I mean, if you call the police, you're dealing with law enforcement, so that's fine. But this one, I'm not too sure about. Said she could only attend US events with a security detail escorting her. I don't know about that one. No sources at all suggest threats were not received. They were reported or that measures were taken. We use the interviewer as one of many potential sources because Wikipedia is not a citation file and Gamergate boards suggest that these threats weren't made, that some other guys sent them, that reports were not filed. These Gamergate talking points might as well be BLP violations. No respectable supports them. They have no place in the encyclopedia. But, okay. The other people, it was other people sending them. That is true. That is reported. The most prominent, I've obviously spoken about this before. The most prominent Brianna Wu's top example of threats is Deagle Nation, and they were just trolling, and they were nothing to do with Gamergate. That was $1 Million Extreme. So, it was other people. And what, this was in 2015? And it was locked for years. Still locked, I think. No. But yeah, it must have been. Oh yeah, so someone was trying to dox here. That must have got unlocked again. It looks like there were no edits between 2016 and 2023. Okay. Then you will discover that almost every important Wikipedia page on the special protections, especially controversial pages like the KiwiFarms, living people such as Liz Fong Jones and her companies like Honeycomb, you will need a certain level of reputation within the Wikipedia community to even attempt editing these pages. Protected and high-risk pages like the KiwiFarms are watched for changes by hundreds of bureaucrats continuously. Your edits will be critically scrutinized, whereas the edits of Fong Jones and their personal Wikipedia admin friends will pass with rubber stamps. One major reason your edits may be reverted is for original research. Original research is anything extrapolated from a primary resource. This includes government websites and the KiwiFarms itself. You're writing about the KiwiFarms. What Wikipedia likes is secondary resources from trusted publications. Trusted publications are explicitly whitelisted news media websites. KiwiFarms users in 2022 asked Wikipedia to start being impartial on the subject and stop trusting biased news articles. This prompted 10-year Wikipedia veteran editor Bylov to say, if Wikipedia had existed when expert consensus was that the Earth is flat, then we would have asserted that position as fact. Okay. The many burned Giordano Bruno at the stake for discrediting geocentrism now write for Wikipedia. At least Bruno's executions got paid. Those 38,000 edits were made to Wikipedia for free purely for self-satisfaction and ego. Based. Yeah, I don't know why Null's included the dog hair thing. That seems really dumb. A total unforced error. I get he fucking hates Liz Fong Jones. A total reason to. And bringing it up as a joke is like fine. But if you're writing your article, your convincing piece, laying out the problem of what these people are doing, I feel like just leave that one out. Like the trans lifeline stuff, you've already got that on the censorship. You've already got that, so just leave the gossip. Like fucking reframing out. It's just there's no point. Whatever. So in practice, Mars' revolutionary not open Wikipedia means that any wealthy technocrat may buy fluff pieces from legacy news websites and request these articles be added to Wikipedia, articles by their own admin friends, specifically to accomplish their political goals. Incidentally, the Wikipedia article for the KiwiFarms is nothing but sloppy accusations citing articles which contain no evidence themselves. Whatever the news writes becomes the truth, and the news writes what Liz Fong Jones tells them to write. She's often directly contributing to the news articles or is the subject of favourable interviews with these publications, which she then passes through to Wikipedia admins to complement and grow articles in the direction she pleases. Wikipedia's true power comes in its presence on search engines. It's almost always the first result of any search, and its contents are fed into the info box summaries found on search results. Its data is accepted uncritically by AI chatbots. If I ask Google Gemini to describe the KiwiFarms in a sentence, it tells me, a controversial web forum known for its users' online harassment and stalking campaigns against various individuals and communities. Despite the KiwiFarms having explicit and enforced rules about contacting people off-site, i.e. harassment. For the average person, Wikipedia is the truth, and whatever is written on Wikipedia is what will be believed. Liz Fong Jones' reputation management looks like this. Crafts a media narrative with context in the press, cements this narrative as publicly held truth using her Wikipedia contacts, sends links to these articles directly to ISPs herself as proof of abuse, remove from search results or the internet completely any upsetting pages. In this way, she can prove criminal behavior through a line of reputable sources despite no actual evidence of criminal behavior, because no criminal behavior exists. This works to both harm websites like mine and to benefit in crafting her and her company's reputation to her liking. It works especially well because she's very low profile and not known outside of her fields. There's no political crossfire to hold Wikipedia accountable. Instead, the only voice identifying this behavior is the KiwiFarms, which has already been thoroughly maligned. Okay. This email from Blake Willis of Zao Paris exemplifies the trust of Wikipedia and the power of Liz Fong Jones' connections within the industry. I must stress that the decision to terminate internet services at the level suggested in this email exchange is unheard of. This is the equivalent of a power company shutting off an abortion clinic or coal mine because they're too controversial. A mere 10 years ago, a decision like this would have been completely unthinkable. Jesus. This is a slog. My mouth's drying out. Okay. For me, it's just a course of action. Someone with official social media access should follow up on Elizabeth Gray's post or investigate the matter internally. In parallel, they should be informed of AUP violations and the services disconnected thereafter. Zio seems to have sold IP transit and DDoS protection to KiwiFarms. This is who they are and what they do. Drop KiwiFarms.net. Sickening to see. Several of my industry colleagues have escalated this to me tonight. I packed my suitcase to fly to Belgrade early tomorrow morning for next week's RIPE meeting. Thank you for the 10 memberships. Thank you. 1776 Solutions, run by Joshua Moon. Large amount of negative attention. Opiate abuse tickets. Both AUP violations as well as increased risks to Zayo's own infrastructure, both cybersecurity as well as potential volumetric DDoS attacks against KiwiFarms and our own infrastructure. This customer should be informed of AUP violations terminated immediately. Okay, what was the AUP violation though? What does that mean? What did they do? What is this AUP violation supposed to be? Did they ever give an answer? There is a sentiment that I want to overcome, that the KiwiFarms, as only a moderate-sized niche community, is oftentimes mean-spirited, does not effectively act as a canary in the coal mine for the broader internet. I will demonstrate that the lessons being learned from this meddling are testing a broader strategy applicable to all. There's usually a for any reason at all clause in the AUPs. Okay. In 2022, after disgraced fraudster Clara Keffel-Sorrenti would falsely claim that KiwiFarms had orchestrated a swatting of her domicile in Canada, Liz Fong Jones would lend her talents to try to finally destroy the KiwiFarms. This included Liz Fong Jones appearing in person at Sydney to protest Cloudflare, which provided security services to us. The idea was that by getting our security service to abandon us, we would be opened up to illegal cybersecurity attacks that would bring us down. It worked, and very powerful people took notice. Fong Jones had hoped to achieve total censorship of a community made of tens of thousands of users. Her efforts and her achievements are now being used as proof of concept in academic research. If Fong Jones succeeds, the model she is constructing will be applied to easier targets than the KiwiFarms. I also stress that the KiwiFarms has been unusually flexible and able to resist deplatforming. In no small part because I as an individual am very unusual. Too true. Too right. Facts. Most people would have had the good sense to quit and abandon their projects well before it gets to the point it has with the KiwiFarms. This is doubly true for websites which must operate cash positive as a successful business, whereas the KiwiFarms lives off of cryptocurrency donations, a privilege unique to dedicated communities with very tech-savvy users. Liz Fong-Jones personally gave a presentation at Cambridge, concisely detailing her own efforts to deplatform the KiwiFarms at every conceivable technical level. Shockingly, the most effective targets were the most important to the broader internet, such as T1 internet backbone company Cogent, based out of DC, who to this day block any of their customers who allow the KiwiFarms to use them. I think even Liz Fong-Jones was surprised at how quickly the internet backbones began censoring her request, because it took months for her to even try. Once she realized they would do what she asked, it became her go-to strategy. Why bother with the small, conscientious companies at the bottom when you can threaten to kneecap their entire business out of the gate with top-down censorship? The following Cambridge academic paper was released, which directly follows the deplatform efforts made against the KiwiFarms. Interestingly, it also follows the impact on user numbers and post-participation in the community using publicly available data. It accurately details how the post rate slowed due to low availability. For instance, while we almost always were available on Tor, many users chose not to download special browsers to continue accessing the forum. Cambridge sees that as a win. This figure is extrapolated over a very nice timeline figure that outlines precisely the long-lasting, enduring attacks made at every level of infrastructure, including illegal attacks aimed at putting the site offline by directly compromising our software. Cloudflare stop service. There's a DDoS guard stop service, Internet Archive, HCAP to drop the forum. KiwiFarms.is is stopped. All domains stopped, including dark web, possible data breach. It's a dark forum. Back. Forums back online. Network level DDoS attacks. DDoS block. All domains were down, including dark web. Second recovery. DDoS attacks 24th of November 2022. I mean, yeah, but look, they were back. You know, it's a quick turnaround. 3 months. It's all sorted out, basically. Pretty good. But that's because obviously Josh is a psycho, not because it's easy to do. The KiwiFarms are so central to these researchers and their work that they have appeared on a cybercrime podcast, acting out, discuss the KiwiFarms, albeit indirectly. They've also delivered this report to the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers just this year. Incredibly important organization whose members decide the international standards for technological development, works together with and has significant membership crossover with the Internet Engineering Task Force. These groups publish RFCs proposing changes to how the internet works. Fong-Jones and her friends in academia would hope to persuade the IEEE and the IETF to make the world smaller, more centrally organized, more brittle, and easier to break apart. These changes would be implemented at a technical level so innate to how the internet works, it would be almost impossible to explain to a layman what has even happened. The Cambridge study is oriented to persuade important engineers that they must break the internet so mean websites can be removed everywhere. These studies are being made off where Liz Fong-Jones is currently failing to bring down KiwiFarms. The political pressures conflict with the First Amendment, as we do nothing illegal. Now they apply pressure inside academics, corporations, and trade organizations to instead circumvent our rights. This is about the KiwiFarms attack. The KiwiFarms attack was a marvel of organized gay ops. The exploit they used to gain access was actually impressive and well thought out, not a regular skid-style attack like is possible with PV. Once they had full control of the website, what did they try to do? They went to the user section and tried to export the database. This query crashed the very fragile KF servers, which alerted Null to the situation. Well, yeah, I never saw there being any news about the user data being leaked, so I've just assumed that they didn't get it. Because surely they would just post that on some gay Antifa website, I would imagine. But they only got some hashed passwords. Yeah, exactly. There was no leak, so. Liz Fong Jones sued Vincent Zen, the owner of Flow Chemical Party Limited in Australia, for $400,000 for defamation. Vincent Australian owns Flow Chemical, an Australian company. Flow Chemical has an IP address through Australian non-profit. Flow Chemical uses some IP addresses, leases some IP addresses to 1776 Solutions, LLC in Wyoming. Floridian owns 1776 Solutions. Provides service to another company, Lolcat LLC. Lolcat LLC, West Virginia, owns the KiwiFarms assets and licenses for posts. Users of the KiwiFarms, who are mostly American, made posts about Liz Fong Jones. Liz Fong Jones alleges that these posts are untrue and defamatory. Therefore, courts believe Vincent personally owes $500,000. What? I know Vinny and speak to him maybe 4 times a year on average. We live on different continents in completely different time zones. It's hard to maintain a friendship over that sort of distance. As a result, Vincent knows almost nothing about the KiwiFarms or what I do. There's no say in how I use the IP addresses I pay for. In affidavit supplied to the Australian court, Liz Fong Jones has promised under penalty of perjury these IP addresses are critical to the KiwiFarms operations, uptime, and most importantly, ability to deliver meme posts by people to the worldwide internet. We've not used those IP addresses in a year, and only used them publicly for less than a year. How critical these IP addresses are can be easily determined by the fact that the KiwiFarms remains available to the worldwide internet and that we do not use any Flow Chemical IP addresses in doing so. It would be accurate to say that we enjoy more uptime without using Vinny's IP addresses due to very technical reasons that Liz Fong Jones has learned to exploit. Broadly, it has to complain about ISPs, entire networks, or internet. Okay. Vinny is very stubborn. He trusted the government to recognize the flagrantly spurious and fallacious nature of these accusations and dismiss them on its own. Okay, Latin term. I'm not private school. I don't know how to say that shit. I ain't saying that shit. He also is a busy person who has better things to do with his time and money than be sued by some lunatic. I continually advised him against inaction, perhaps once a month, every month, until he was guilty by default. He's working on the slow and expensive process of overturning the default. Okay, it's his mistake. That's his fuck up. The real victory of this judgment is that Liz Fong Jones can now pretend that KiwiFarms is illegal and or create civil liability for its hosts. Indeed, it has appeared in numerous articles published by the usual suspects who tend to polish Liz Fong Jones. Oh, I remember this. Yeah, I do remember this. I do remember this shit. Yeah. There's appeared in numerous articles published by usual suspects who tend to polish Liz Fong Jones, and these articles have somehow found their way to the KiwiFarms Wikipedia page despite zero direct involvement between KiwiFarms and Flow Chemical or Vincent. Liz Fong Jones is nothing if not incredibly spiteful. The money and resources she has acquired are merely tokens for her to purchase human misery. Anti-censors are falling flat. Last month, Sony released a video game called Stellar Blades of the PS5, which featured a protagonist in very revealing clothing, which developers had promised would not be modified when released to the West. Okay, why are we talking about this? Okay, because Stellar Blades petition is the largest outcry against censorship in recent memory, and it's so far failed to get Sony's decision reversed. This failure highlights to me what I believe should be obvious. Public outcry and petitions do not get things done. Money does. Whatever moneyed power convinced Sony to make these changes outweighs the perceived economic threat of gamers promising not to buy their game. The anti-censors rallied around this cause en masse. No doubt thanks to how easy it is to complain on social media and sign a petition. Meanwhile, there is a vine of thorns wrapping around the esophagus of the internet. Our ability to even communicate is at risk of being destroyed. And the people who intend to destroy them have networked an obscene amount of wealth and power without being noticed. Indeed, the moneyed powers actively working to destroy the internet find themselves intertwined with supposedly anti-censorship entities without trouble. For instance, the closest thing to an institutional power online for anti-censorship is Rumble. Is that true? Is that true? I thought the EFF was still like kind of not cucked. I feel like I thought the EFF was cucked, and I looked at the Wikipedia page for them, and they'd been doing stuff that I agreed with recently. Yeah, I mean, in 2018, the EFF joined the Open Technology Institute, the Center for Democracy and Technology, the ACLU Foundation of Northern California, and 4 academics in writing the Santa Clara Principles on Transparency and Accountability in Content Moderation. The document sets out the following guidelines for social networks. Statistics on removed posts should be publicly available. Banned users or users who have had posts deleted should be notified with clear reasons. Such users should have the opportunity to appeal and have that decision and have that appeal read by a human. The EFF nailed recently. What did they nail on? What did they cock out on? Wait, no, they were supporting KiwiFarms too. You're retarded. What are you talking about? They're nailing. In December 2022, the EFF and 56 other digital advocacy organizations called for internet infrastructure providers to stop policing the content of the websites they service. The organizations argued that many providers can only moderate content by revoking access to an entire website, leaving end users with little transparency or recourse. They expressed concern that governments may pressure infrastructure providers to deny service to opponents and marginalized groups, and that monopolistic infrastructure providers may take banned users offline altogether. The coalition believes that the platforms and user-facing websites are better positioned as moderators because they can remove specific content, sanction accounts granularly, and offer reasoning and appeals for moderation decisions. The initiative was launched in the wake of Drop KiwiFarms, a campaign that convinced several internet providers and DDoS protection firms to revoke service to KiwiFarms, a controversial forum. After the forum returned behind an open source bot detection tool, the EFF stopped classifying DDoS protection websites as infrastructure because they cannot determine whether a website stays online or not. Yeah, okay, but saying we condemn the KiwiFarms but has a right to exist is like about what I expect from an institution, right? They didn't kneel to pressure because they didn't change their position. Their position didn't change on the public pressure. They said, yeah, site's bad, guys, but it shouldn't be taken down like this. That's like what I expect. That was what I would expect from an advocacy organization like that. Just because they don't come out, like they do have to play the optics game. They're a big organization. They're like a lobbying group, basically, aren't they? Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. You know, they were like, KiwiFarms bad, guys. Guys, listen, KiwiFarms, transphobia bad, guys. I expect that. Anyway, let's continue reading this article. Yeah, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. For instance, the closest thing, I think EFF is probably better than Rumble because Rumble is like a private organization, right? Anyway, Rumble highlights in particular the anti-censor's total and complete inability to learn lessons from other anti-censors. I've personally attempted to communicate to Rumble by email to CEO Chris Pavlovsky and to head of product Rick Rakela the imminent and urgent danger that relying solely on Cogent and Path presents to their companies and all of their customers. Cogent has taken unprecedented, deranged steps to stop the KiwiFarms from being able to operate, including threatening to disconnect entire data centers in Poland for allowing us to continue to host there. The decisions to prohibit the KiwiFarms and my company, 1776 Solutions, from operating on Cogent networks come from the very top. 2 separate sales representatives from Cogent have confirmed to me that a C-level decision was made to stop me from acquiring a hookup with them. I've attempted to call in on Cogent investor meetings during public Q&A and was screened out of the caller pool. I stressed that, even a few years ago, a tier 1 ISP making waves to try and censor online content would have been international news, a terrible blow to their reputation within the industry, and no company would possibly trust them with supplying transit. Path CTO is Corey Barnhill, now August Hart. Okay, Dead name. Sorry, dead name. I disavow. Is on record admitting to watching a 9-year-old girl being sodomized. Yeah, let's not pull this up on stream. I thought the archive link would be a non-KiwiFarms link, but no. Let's pull it up on my other monitor. Wait, oh man, okay, this is a whole rabbit hole. Okay. Ooh. That looks rough. That's not a dead name. Oh, wait. August Hart is just a new name. Corey Barnhill is Britbong from IBS. No, he's not. Come on. Is Zoom. What? Really? What? Wait, so this guy's like a big deal? Like in some fucking tech company, and that was Zoom. Zoom was the most annoying sped retard in fucking IBS. Bruh. When did people find that out? Yeah, I've just seen that on KF.
Who is that?
I'm your best friend.
As 8 years.
Bro.
Multiple
Not from
times
the
you
get
could have
go.
talked.
I just
Oh, you
spent
knew
a
from the
long
get-go.
time like denying things.
I literally told you the fucking 4th day that we were talking about everything. I showed you everything. And by the 2nd week that we were together, you'd already looked through my computer twice, and I told you everything.
I didn't know you watched like child pornography.
The minute you said that you were always curious,
Like no, like
Dude.
what? Oh my god.
you said that you were curious.
Oh no.
You
Oh
did.
my god. Oh my god.
You were high as fuck when you said it, but you did say it.
Okay. Okay. Alright, that's enough of that. I get the message. I get the message. Go read the thread for more. Okay, guys, go and read Zoom's thread. Oh, look at me, dude. Yes, an informant. No, that was like a 15-year-old girl or something, wasn't it? He was talking to there. Some shit. I don't know. Oh man. Okay. What is IBS? I'm a noob on getting into law. IBS, Internet Blood Sports, and refers to a period of content that sort of came off the back of Gamergate and was centered around people like Ethan Ralph and Mr. Metica and Tonka Saw and Destiny and all sorts of people like that would argue about shit on the Kill stream usually. Or other set of Warski Live. Fuentes came up in it. That was his girlfriend and they were both trolling. Really? They were trolling? When this guy's hacking kids' cameras? Corey Barnhill, now August Hart, a pedophile. Corey's on record making torture a 9-year-old girl be sodomized. His company Path attempted to illegally seize my hard drives by sending fake Canadian court orders to my data centers. Path proudly advertises they were the first ISP to disconnect KiwiFarms at an ISP level, and boasts about this directly to Liz Hung Jones. Despite this, Rumble still uses them. What's worse, Rumble's video site apparently uses Path for application level mitigation as well, which means Path, a mismanaged, near bankrupt security company, currently being evicted from data centers for missing months of payments, is probably the SSL endpoint for Rumble. If true, it means that Path and Corey Barnhill can intercept and read all communications to Rumble's website. I have warned them about this for months. At a very basic and fundamental level, the key players in anti-censorship are fractured and isolated from one another. They do not have cohesive goals and frequently allow irrelevant personal issues to divide them. At best, their efforts are split and duplicated, and at worst, they are openly hostile to one another. No such issues exist in the pro-censorship crowd, drowning capital from megacorporations, which they share between friends like bottles of wine. They plot net wealth, a web of academic journals, media publications, and presentations at important international organizations to achieve their goals. They live in penthouse suites outside of San Francisco, callously deciding which small atomized defenseless component of anti-censorship they will tie up in litigation and defame next. Yep, sounds about right. There is no equivalent for anti-censorship. No one stands at the IEE or IETF and discusses how the internet is about to collapse into dystopia, though the few who do merely cheer it on. Anti-censorship does not network and ignores the lessons already learned. They are too afraid of what will be said about them in the media when the media is already a demonstrably poisoned network of people who can't wait to strangle the life out of them. This is a bit much. He's going way too hard on the populist, like, oh, the media's corrupt shit. There are absolutely journalists who these people are friends with, and I'm sure they throw around money and fucking get articles written, but the idea that it's all completely fucked is retarded. Fuck this, the ex-husband is leaking everything on Kino Casino. What ex-husband? Racket's girlfriend's ex-husband. Steel toe guy. Because I'd rather not listen to that guy. He is insufferable. But maybe we will. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll look at after this. We'll look at after we finish with this. I want to watch the card posting video before we move on. What are we up to? To this day, the EFF will... Okay. Yeah, Alright. It does talk about here, okay. The most important anti-censorship organization was the Electronic Frontier Foundation. The one time the EFF tried to write in defense of the KiwiFarms, they had to anonymize their authors because the two women who wrote it were threatened by a transgender mob. To this day, the EFF will take the side of the mob who threatens them and hates them over any organization in need of genuine defense, which may like a favorable Wikipedia article. They did kind of protect... I understand his sentiment here, but it's not quite true, I don't feel like. At the time the KiwiFarms deplatforming was starting to show cracks, internet backbone, the EFF even launched a petition called Protect the Stack, dedicated to trying to preserve the neutrality of the internet. They have never contacted the KiwiFarms directly to learn about where the stack is in danger, and as a result, they have accomplished nothing. Despite the size, prestige, and financial support of the EFF, Protect the Stack has accomplished nothing. Yeah, I mean, that's probably true. But they're trying. They're trying. I understand why he's pissed off about it. I get Josh's perspective here. Same with the Liz Wong Jones stuff. Get his perspective. I just think if you're writing this as a convincing piece, as a piece of like, this is my cause, and this is why you should come join it and fucking help me, and this is the fucking problem, I think you've got to kind of come at it with a more diplomatic angle. Because it's not like, yes, totally good to point this out. Protect the Stack has essentially failed. Agree. However, acting like the EFF are meant to come talk to you, I don't think that's going to happen, dude. Ever. I don't think it needs to happen. I don't think that's a necessity. It just feels like it's a effort for Josh to legitimize himself in some way, which I do understand, but I don't know if it's the best way to go about it. But whatever. It's no wonder that they are staffed with the likes of Copper Quinton, a senior security researcher with the EFF, whose hobbies include wishing death. Like, sometimes it's even better. It is often better to keep associations almost at arm's length if you're like if someone's super controversial, and work on the same cause. Have maybe some kind of awareness of what each other are doing, but going directly involved, I'm not too sure about that one. Like, you don't want the EFF to get tarred as being associated with KiwiFarms. That might impact their ability to achieve good outcomes for the KiwiFarms. Anyway, it is no wonder when they are staffed with the likes of Copper Quinton, a senior security researcher with the EFF, whose hobbies include wishing death on users of a website, have openly supported the EFF for years. Quinton's proof of concept, the anti-censorship wastes its breath trying to involve itself with the existing rotting structures of the past anti-censorship. These organizations are subverted, and only new ones with renewed purpose can work. Okay, this is gay. Because what's his stance? I would care more. He's saying, I wish you were very merry getting hit by a bus. But does he say that? But then his position is KiwiFarms has a right to exist and stay on the internet and use the same infrastructure as everyone else. What is his actual position? He might hate the users and think you're all a bunch of schizo-autists. But fundamentally, if he's saying, but you've got a fucking right to be there, like Israel, then, I mean, sure. I would like to end this article with a call to action. Here is a problem, here is a solution. While I would generally encourage intelligent cooperation between anti-censorship movements, I have no hope for that. Anti-censorship is inherently individualistic, as those types benefit from freedom the most. Some cohesion is necessary. The anti-censorship crowd is mostly preoccupied with lining their own pockets. Every anti-censorship startup seems hell-bent on being the first person to solve the censorship issue, without any cooperation from others, that they may take in all the glory. There is no conservative think tank doing what the pro-censorship camps do every day, combining intelligence, power, and money. Instead, we run our own race and make less progress overall, falling further behind in our endeavors every day, winning only superficial victories with video games and in local jurisdictions, while pro-censorship wins on the big stage and behind the curtains of international organizations who actually make decisions. There will be no participation trophies at the gallows for those with resources. I emphasize that the Confederation is required to survive the next decade. There are companies making up the internet which are toxic and needing to be scraped out, and companies which are principled needing to be built up. The good is out there, and good people are trying, but they don't get the attention they need. A serious person with serious aspirations could start a pro-free speech trade organization or coalition, but it needs to be done in earnest and with resources out the gate, and it cannot exclude members and what they would bring to the table simply by the negativity of their Wikipedia article. For the average person, instead of asking you to do a specific thing, I ask that you consider something. Every day, Liz Fong Jones wakes up and dedicates the whole of her existence to making the world a worse place. She decides how she's going to enrich herself, who she is going to exploit, where she's going to invest her wealth, and grow her personal power. Trying very hard here. And how she's going to expand her network of nepotistic friends. What are you doing? Are you spending your days productively? Are you putting effort into growing your own wealth, improving your own standing? Are you waking up each day to a personal situation that is better than yesterday's? Anti-censorship in general appears the most sensitive to pop culture changes, like media localization, video game outfits, and movie race swaps. Jesus Christ. I fear this may be because anti-censorship has been complacent and defeatist. It appears to many, that perhaps the only achievable victories are keeping a movie remake's character white. I think they're spending their time absorbed in media because our real situation seems so dire. The plane is crashing and everyone just wants a nice in-flight movie. I ask that everyone makes their day more productive than Liz Fong Jones and her friends have made theirs. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I've got some issues with some of the phrasing. Just the little hyperbolizations. And including just like dumb stuff like that, the rape stuff about Liz Fong Jones. Like, there's no reason to have it in here because it would put off someone that looks into it. Even if it is a funny little joke to put in. But I agree with the message. I agree with the message. I agree with the position. I agree with the concern. So. But listen, I've got to, like, it's rough. A lot of it's going to depend on how this legal fund goes, I think, with the KiwiFarms and how far they manage to press stuff. Because, like, Null's the only one who's got kind of the position and the drive to galvanize it right now. To be honest, nothing Null said isn't known to the ISP network engineers. They are very aware of the vulnerabilities and are active research properties that fix some of these. But his point is that there are more research projects. The research projects seem to be all about making those vulnerabilities worse, making it so that you can have stuff removed from the internet if you've got enough money and sway. There are no efforts to fix this. What are you on about? This is getting worse. Where are the efforts to fix this? Show me that. Null's shown me several to make it worse. Can you show me one to make it better? Internet 2 project. Okay, this has nothing to do with what Null's talking about, from what I can tell. Academic network research is about making the network more resilient. There's several solutions to black holing of traffic accidentally or intentionally. Oh, maybe, sure, yeah, okay, sure. Okay, I get what you're saying now. That there are engineers who publish papers and do work that are working on technologies and solutions to make the internet more free, more open, more resilient. Got you. Okay, I'm with you. I think Noel's point is that there isn't a broad will to implement a lot of these changes or implement a lot of these solutions from power players. That's the problem, is that it's going the other way. The other side is winning on it. But it may be that there are solutions that simply you can't get around. Ways to set up stuff on your own, and if it's not illegal, then you can't get fucked on it. Maybe that ends up being the case, sure. Maybe you can just totally self-sufficient the fucking website, but a big website. And I'm sure, yeah. I'm sure, okay, well, when Null says there's nobody at these organizations saying this, I'm sure, yeah, there are people. It's not going to be a total fucking monolith. But I think his point is that when there's a big presentation, when there's a convention, conference, whatever, the speeches that are being given, the things that are being talked about, it's all about being progressive and inclusive and shutting down hate and all this sort of stuff, isn't it? But there may be individuals within the organizations that have different perspectives on it. I don't think what Null said's untrue. I think he's just a bit too much. Anyway, let's get onto the card posting video. I'm fucking starving though, so I need to grab something to eat quickly. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Yeah. I think we're on the same page. I agree. No, overall, Null is just coming at this from his perspective and experience. Yeah. The message, I agree with. I see what he's getting at, and I see it happening. But he's not delivering it in an effective way because he's coming at it from a very jaded, very beaten down. Anyway, let's watch Cardposting's response to that Null essay we just read. And then I think we might watch some of the Kino Casino stuff that's been happening tonight.
Joshua Moon, the owner-operator of the KiwiFarms, published a piece on Substack, essentially making the case that the efforts of many major corporations, media figures, and people with a lot of cash to throw around to try and take his website down is unfair and unethical and undeserved censorship. Today, I wanted to respond to that article here on YouTube, because for one thing, although I disagree broadly with what this article actually says and how it says it and why it says it, I think it's an argument coming sincerely from someone and well-reasoned enough to warrant a sincere response. And two, I want to throw my hat into the ring on this, because I don't think we'll be seeing many people, especially many lefties, trying to engage with this article honestly. Plus, I do think there is a non-zero chance that Joshua Moon sees this video. Although I don't think Moon will change his mind about anything just because he hears anything I say, it doesn't mean
I would love to see Null and this guy get into a back and forth. Null has got to cover this on Matty, surely. I would love to see that, man. Null versus card posting, that would go so hard.
And for the sake of transparency, I'm going to link his article itself in the description below if you want to read it or see where I'll be pulling quotes from. If you're someone who listens to my stuff regularly already...
So yeah, obviously card posting is he seems like a pretty chill guy. He's got some retarded fucking lefty beliefs that obviously I'm not down with. But he does, like, even just here, he's coming across well. Like, I disagree, but I'm happy to engage with it. I'll probably be one of the few people doing it. It's just like, okay, cool, man. That's epic. Glad to hear it. Yeah, the CRTs in the back, man, goes hard.
There might be something interesting in this video for you, but I will be scripting it primarily
shed
from here on
enjoyer.
out, as if I'm responding directly to Joshua Moon about his piece. So with that in mind, Dear Joshua, my name's Card. I'm a long-time progressive anarchist political organizer, small freelance journalist, and professional historical researcher. I wanted to talk about your recent Substack piece, and I'd appreciate it if you heard me out, because I read it, earnestly considered its message, but I think the whole article encapsulates why you keep having the problems you keep running into.
See, this bothers
Namely,
me.
You bring them on yourself.
This is as far as I got, because I had an immediate response to this. I immediately turned it off, and I was like, okay, I'm going to cover this on stream. Because this annoys me. You bring it on yourself. That's not the point. There's lots of things you can do that will bring negative consequences on yourself, but that doesn't mean that every negative consequence is justified. It's literally like the asking to be raped thing, right? It's like, yeah, if a woman walks through Detroit at 2 a.m. fully naked, yeah, there's a good chance she's going to get raped. that's bringing on a certain outcome. However, that doesn't mean that it's then fine to rape people, or we shouldn't enforce the law against those people doing that raping. Like, that's dumb as fuck. So anyway.
Whether you realize it or not. The main thrust of this piece is you decrying the fact that once you and your website were in the crosshairs of a rich, evidently resourceful person with a lot of connections in the tech industry, it was really easy to censor and deplatform you in a lot
like,
of
you can say this about so much. This is just such a bad line of argumentation from Cardposting here. I just don't know what he's even on about.
And in a lot of ways that most people wouldn't readily be able to prevent and counter, as you have been, by creating alternative solutions and workarounds and such. And by the end of the article, you're trying to get people who might agree with you to rally around the idea that individuals and tech world giants being able to censor people just because they personally don't like them or their politics is bad, right? Here's the thing though. In many ways, I think this reality where the corporate powers that be have this much leverage over the average schmo are what you, consciously or not, might as well be advocating for. Not to mention, and take this from a long-time political organizer, merely
interesting
asking
angle.
people to believe in some communal project, online no less.
This is a good angle. Okay, I like where he's going with this. No. Let him cook. Let him cook. Let this autistic motherfucker cook. Okay. He's kind of cooking here. It is true. That is kind of true. Just being like just believe in yourselves, have an individualist approach. That probably isn't the way. Okay, let's hear this.
I think this reality where the corporate powers that be have this much leverage over the average schmo are what you, consciously or not, might as well be advocating for. Not to mention, and take this from a long-time political organizer, merely asking for people to believe in some communal project, online no less, never produces any fruitful results on its own.
Okay.
Doubly so when the people you're pitching this anti-censorship pipe dream to are the sorts of intrinsically individualistic reactionaries that we both know make up most of your audience. What you're suggesting in this article here smacks of even parts complaining about being outplayed and wish casting for a solution that can never come. For instance,
yeah, okay. I'm with this. This is sort of how I was feeling. Okay. I'm with Card here. I'm back on board. I had a response at the start. I'm kind of back on board. I'm with him. Here. The article wasn't great. There needs to be a more firm solution. I think the KiwiFarms Legal Fund is a great thing to have, especially for Null specifically. And to be actually fighting some of these decisions, that is the way forward. But that's got to happen. And that's on Null. And that's on KiwiFarms. This idea of, we've all just got to believe in it. No, there's specific battles that have to be fought by people who are willing to put down the money and resources to fight those battles.
You've got a sizable section in here that's just essentially recounting how the streamer Clara Sorrenti and Liz Fong Jones, formerly of Google, fucked your shit up for a while by campaigning to get service providers to drop your website. And it just comes across like bitching that people would go after you because they don't like you on account of what you choose to do. As an aside, how you refer to Fong Jones and Sorrenti here is pretty emblematic of one of your issues, because they happen to both be trans women, but you refer to them as you would refer to men throughout the article. Not surprising, perhaps. As a progressive, I personally would not have done that. That itself isn't the problem I wanted to point out. It's the fact that you choose to be antagonistic towards people. You invite them to be mad at you, plus you make yourself look as unsympathetic to a broad audience in the process. I guarantee if you...
There's some truth to that while KiwiFarms is this, should be allowed to be this obnoxious, abrasive cesspit, it may be if Null is trying to enact change, especially a change that requires participation in existing institutions, he probably does have to put on a bit of a better public face and not directly goad. I mean, that's literally what I said about the Liz Fong Jones stuff. Like, there's no point in just putting in credible rape allegation against her, because that's not quite true. It's just meant to get at her because it's like it's a credible rape allegation by the progressive framework that you think she has, right? Because she called it a consent accident. But it's just about a fucking dog. It's about someone having a dog and not being told that they have a dog. So so like lashing out in that way when you're trying to make your case is not a good idea.
Toned down the transphobia by a notch or two, those trans chicks wouldn't actively be trying to get you deplatformed. Being obstinate on an issue like this...
That's not true. That's not true. Okay, now Cardposting's throwing. That's not true. The transphobia isn't why they're getting deplatformed. It's about the information.
If you toned down the transphobia by a notch or two, those trans chicks wouldn't actively be trying to get you deplatformed. Being obstinate on an issue like this isn't being principled, it's just inviting people to not like you. Don't choose to not play along, then cry about the fact the other kids play rough. Or, to make a comparison that's more on your level as the owner of KiwiFarms, remember when Chris Chan's PlayStation account or whatever got hacked, and the guy who did it said he'd hand everything back safe and sound if only Chris would sing the "It's Okay to Be Gay" song on camera? Then Chris simply couldn't do it, couldn't even mouth the words "I'm gay" on camera without physically retching, even if doing so would have been very beneficial. Chris's homophobia plus autism was overriding all common sense there, which is what makes it funny as well. Josh, you've got the same problem.
No! No! Cardposting just cooked Null! It's over. Oh, it's fucking over. Kiwi sisters, no. We're not so different, you and I. Oh man, that's based. That goes hard. No, Cardposting's such a good YouTuber, man, honestly. Why is this guy the top fucking bread tuber instead of Noah fucking F/Samson?
Makes it funny as well. Josh, you've got the same problem. If you can't bring yourself to use people's chosen pronouns, even in ostensibly serious writing like in this article, that's not making a point, it's just autistic stubbornness. But even if we put aside the fact you actively try to make these people with money...
Okay, yeah, but alright, I understand what you're saying, but autistic stubbornness is the only reason KiwiFarms are still around. So I agree with the advice that Noel's gotta pull it back a little bit when he's trying to make his big public statements on why people should side with him. I agree with that. But but autistic stubbornness is actually just the... That's the only reason KiwiFarms still going. This might actually farm Null. Dude, that would go so hard. I've got to see Null react to this. He's got to watch this on Matty, man. That would be so entertaining.
Not like you. The simple fact of the matter is, like it or not, unfair, arbitrary denial of service from big corporate providers is part of the capitalist system you live under. And simply complaining about it doesn't change that. And now it just comes across like bitching for the sake of bitching.
No, I agree with him here fully. It's kind of gay the way he's saying it, saying it's part of the capitalist system you live under. But I do agree that there has to be regulations that say, hey, this is what companies like this can and can't do. But there needs to be an actual change, or like legislation, not legislation, fuck. There needs to be like court cases, like judicial decisions that say this is what they can and can't do. So yeah, I agree with them there. Saying, oh, the capitalist system that you live on is very gay. But fundamentally, yeah, that is the problem. And Noel seems to veer away from that for fear of either because he's got individualistic libertarian principles himself or because he fears alienating the base that may support him. I don't know. But yeah, there absolutely does have to be actual changes.
And realistically, are you not one of those terminally online pseudo-libertarian tech bros who claims to love unchecked capitalism, even as you complain about the minor safeguards?
Yeah, no, he's cooking him here.
Like the US
yeah, no, he's cooking him here. Yeah.
This is what you get.
Yeah, this is the problem. There needs to be the super hard online ANCAP libertarian types just don't have the tools in their beliefs to actually propose solutions to this. Look at his fucking face. Yeah, man. Oh, God. This smug prick. Smug autistic prick. I love him so much. Oh, man.
A system where corporate interests, far above the heads of you or I, aren't accountable to anyone. I personally don't like it, but anyone who calls themselves a capitalist is definitely part of the problem, especially when that person is actually just a neoliberal subject who won't do shit about it, like most people.
Oh.
And here's the thing. If there's going
No,
to be
he's cooking fucking hard here. I gotta say, Cardposting's fucking spitting this video. I got triggered and responded negatively.
But anyone who calls themselves a capitalist is definitely part of the problem, especially when that person...
No, Rita, this guy does know that under capitalism there's regulation, but the issue is that Null is... there are people who maybe believe in a generally capitalist system, but don't explicitly call themselves capitalist or hold ANCAP beliefs or super libertarian beliefs, where they're okay with a certain level of like social safety nets and, you know, like Nordic systems and shit like that. Probably wouldn't call themselves a capitalist, but fundamentally that is still a market capitalist system.
Live under, and simply complaining about it doesn't change that. And now it just comes across like bitching for the sake of bitching. And realistically, are you not one of those terminally online pseudo-libertarian tech bros who claims to love unchecked capitalism, even as you complain about the minor safeguards put in place by regulators like the US Federal Reserve? This is what you get. A system where corporate interests, far above the heads of you or I, aren't accountable to anyone. I personally don't like it. But anyone who calls themselves...
Yeah, my mewing game is weak compared to Cardposting, it's gotta say.
Definitely part of the problem.
I'm being mugged right now.
Especially when that person is actually just a neoliberal...
Crazy facial structure going on here.
...about it, like most people. And here's the thing. If there's going to be a big fight about your capacity to have a website between you and some former Google exec, my default inclination would be to not care. But if I were to be made to care, I sure as hell wouldn't intuitively back you. I'd want to go with a winner.
Is he calling for market control in this article? Is he? It feels like he doesn't ever say that. He's not calling for market control in that article. He's not. No, he absolutely does. He's too libertarian to make the arguments need to be made, I think. Cardposting is always an MTF threads on LGBT. What, because he's got good facial structure?
If you want to keep playing pretend that you're an Ayn Rand protagonist...
Or because he's posting in there. Oh, wait, no, Alec Gunter said he posts in there, right? He's an ally.
Person here, waging a one-man war against corporate censorship. Put it this way. The Liz Fong Joneses of the world have a Nietzschean will to power of their own. They want to take down your website, if only because they personally don't like it. But they're actually going to do something about it. If you want your work and your livelihood to not go away, then I guess you should try harder to stop them. Now, at the moment, as you yourself point out in your article, your website is still around because, at least for now, you've been able to jerry-rig some alternative website provider things together and take cryptocurrency donations or whatever. Something you acknowledge that most beleaguered website owners wouldn't be able to do necessarily. But that doesn't sound like you're winning to me. It sounds like you're just barely hanging on, and this article is complaining that you've all but lost as it is. It'd be like if in the last month of the Second World War in Europe, the Germans started publishing periodicals about how they're winning a lot of street-level engagements with the Russians, despite the very unfair way the Red Army has reduced them to fighting with 15-year-old conscripts. And in that situation, all any honest observer would say is, sure, you might be holding ground on a day-to-day basis right now, but the fact that these fights are already happening in Berlin is not indicative of the fact you're winning the war. Josh, it might be impressive to the other reactionary tech dorks that you're still afloat despite getting banished from every mainstream service provider's good books. But the fact you even have to go to such lengths to keep going at this point doesn't seem to bode well. And losers just aren't that respectable. Similarly,
Jesus
you spend a
Christ.
surprisingly large amount of time in this article complaining about how Wikipedia is run, saying it's open to editorial abuse if moneyed interests have puff pieces written to act as sources backing up whatever claims they want to make. And again, my answer is, that's what capitalism does. If there's an ideological tool out there, it will be corrupted by financial interests of one sort or another. Don't pretend that your worldview doesn't tacitly allow for that to happen and for it to be okay. And don't act like you're suddenly up in arms about making people look bad using the internet when you're fighting tooth and nail to keep your website, the KiwiFarms, online. If all you are is essentially just some website code-writing schlub who LARPs as an ANCAP free speech warrior, you just have to concede you got outplayed here, even by the standards of your own moral code. Like here, you complain that Wikipedia misrepresents KiwiFarms, and that this extends to AI and Google. So you're complaining, essentially, about being slandered. But realistically, what about your worldview says that it's intrinsically bad to slander someone? Don't try and pull an appeal to morality out just because you lost. It's such bitch-made behaviour. Like, if you
okay, no, I think his issue is the circular proof that happens, where Wikipedia is corrupted and Wikipedia is cited as proof of a crime that didn't happen. I think there's a bit more to that criticism than Cardposting's allowing himself to see here. Because the point is that Wikipedia is used as a source, even though Wikipedia doesn't have any proof for what they're claiming, right?
Complain that Wikipedia characterizes KiwiFarms as a controversial web forum known for its users' online harassment and stalking campaigns against various individuals and communities, well, they are allowed to assert that. Maybe more people...
He's not like full-blown ANCAP, but come on, he is absolutely libertarian, hard-leaning. He's literally misunderstanding Null's point. There's way better criticism of the article than chud dunking like this. I don't think he's chud dunking.
Be sympathetic to the idea of not describing your website in such a negative way if you hadn't just spent a decade actively trying to be so antagonistic towards so many people. Either do something about it that isn't just complaining, or accept that this is where your choices have gotten you. Similarly, you go on to complain that most people, or more people, should care about Liz Fong Jones's, quote, consent accident, and you decry that no one mainstream is covering that. Again,
Yeah, that's
if
retarded
she has the
thing to put in
power
there.
Stop people reporting on that sort of
I mean, no one's reporting on it because it's a fucking retarded story.
thing. I don't know what to tell you. It just looks like her will to power is stronger. But why are you pretending that you care about the drama of the San Francisco tech exec trans swinger community or the morality of what goes on in it? I don't care about those things. I don't see why I should. And you shouldn't pretend you care about it either. But right now, you're getting your panties in a twist that someone somewhere is getting away with something. And that makes them bad and you righteous. That just sounds like cope to me. Frankly, you lost here. That's an honest assessment of the situation.
Yeah, I totally agree. Including this critique is absolutely I agree with. There's the stuff about Liz Fong Jones, like rape, does not need to be in there. Like, because it is just like a retarded point. No one was going to report, even if that KiwiFarms stayed up totally. Everyone's like, "Oh, KiwiFarms is a based source," and everyone cares. Still, no one is going to report on Liz Fong Jones' consent accident when the consent accident was, I didn't tell this person I had a dog before we slept together. Like, no one's reporting on that. There's no need to have this.
About Liz Fong Jones's quote, consent accident, and you decry that no one mainstream is covering that. Again, if she has the power to stop people reporting on that sort of thing, I don't know what to tell you. It just looks like her will to power is stronger. But why are you pretending that you care about the drama of the San Francisco tech exec trans swinger community or the morality of what goes on in it? I don't care about those things. I don't see why I should. And you shouldn't pretend you care about it either. But right now, you're getting your panties in a twist that someone somewhere is getting away with something. And that makes them bad and you righteous. That just sounds like cope to me. Frankly, you lost here. That's an honest assessment of the situation.
Yeah, he's in a fucking shed.
You've been ideologically outcompeted. That's not unfair. That's just a consequence of you evidently not wanting it as much as the other team wanted it. Again, literally every single problem you have is backlash from your own actions. And you even end this article with a call to arms that all anti-censorship people need to band together, or else they'll absolutely all be crushed by the very same capitalist powers that be that in all other respects you think you love. But your problem is, namely, you can't even go a day without deliberately antagonizing the worldview that the majority of Westerners under 35 who lean increasingly progressive support. So you're just left preaching to a choir of reactionary shut-ins who have the same worldview as you, but who are just less technically capable, and they're not going to do shit about it either. It's the problem inherent to right-wing grassroots projects. If your worldview is intrinsically competitive and ultimately individualistic, how the fuck are you going to wrangle a team together long enough to build your own parallel anti-censorship internet infrastructure? Say what you want about liberals, at least they know how to fucking network. And if a bunch of moneyed up, networked industry libs do end up driving you and your mates offline for good just because they didn't like you, are the actual leftists and the commies and the anarchists like me supposed to shed any tears over that? Honestly, I for one am not going to.
Wait, what was that last bit?
Anti-censorship internet. But your problem is, namely, you can't even go a day without deliberately antagonizing the worldview that the majority of Westerners under 35 who lean increasingly progressive support. So you're just left preaching to a choir of reactionary shut-ins who have the same worldview as you, but who are just less technically capable, and they're not going to do shit about it either. It's the problem inherent to right-wing grassroots projects. If your worldview is intrinsically competitive and ultimately individualistic, how the fuck are you going to wrangle a team together long enough to build your own parallel anti-censorship internet infrastructure? Say what you want about liberals, at least they know how to fucking network. And if a bunch of moneyed up, networked industry libs do end up driving you and your mates offline for good just because they didn't like you, are the actual leftists and the commies and the anarchists like me supposed to shed any tears over that? Honestly, I for one am not going to.
Well, I'm pretty sure, Spudgun, I'm pretty sure Null made a bunch of like libertarian arguments about 8chan and shit, didn't he? I think it wasn't just about free speech.